vitamin compassion and self-compassion. I would like to start with what true compassion really is. True compassion means not only feeling another's pain, but also being moved to help relieve it. When we continue with this, concept, what is also really important just to know is that we have a lot of thoughts about ourselves. And as we have all different kind of thoughts about ourselves, what happens is we create a certain beliefs about ourselves. So we live our lives with a lot of negative images of ourselves from childhood on. And we have built upon those images and built upon them, and they become very heavy weights for some of us. And I will a little bit expand on that. These thoughts about us are a part of our ego, and they are manifested through our roles of child or a husband, wife, or a breadwinner. All of those just kind of, different roles. And they are built upon the thoughts of, these are very basic ones. There are many of them, but these are basic ones. I'm not smart. I am not likable. I am not good. So those are probably just kind of, basic ones. We can look on many others, okay? But this is something that, compassion and also self-compassion, as we are going to expand on, it's really very, very important to notice that the level of compassion or self-compassion comes really from the way how I think about myself, about my worth, about my capabilities, about who I am. So once you identify with your soul, you start to taste the love in your true self, in your spiritual heart. And it's different than all of the loves you have ever had. It's just different. It's what it's called an unconditional love. And when we are capable to cultivate unconditional love, we start having different relationship with ourselves and with also other, people around us. So here is a really cool quote from Jack Kornfield, who says, "If your compassion does not include yourself, it is incomplete." And so today I really would like to pay a little bit more deeper attention to the whole concept of vitamin of self-compassion, okay? There is a really nice quote. Self-compassion is simply giving the same kindness to ourselves that we would give to others. So what is really self-compassion? It involves treating ourselves the way you would treat a friend in these three basic situations. It's just kind of how you would treat yourself, the way you would treat a friend who is having a hard time. Even if your friend would blow it and you knew that he or she did something not skillful in their behavior, or your friend is feeling insecure, or is just facing tough life or tough challenge, right? So those are really just kind of, three areas when we ask ourselves, if you would have someone, if you think about someone who is very close to you, and if that friend would have a hard time, how would you just, just think about it. How would you act? What would you do? Or if he feel or she feels insecure, how would you console them? How would you just kind of, be compassionate to them to help them? Or if they would be facing some sort of a life situation, somebody passed in their family, or, they lost a job, or they have just kind of a difficulty, with a spouse. And what is really interesting is when you do this type of an exercise, and I would ask you, well, and now just look at yourself. If you are having a hard time, how do you treat yourself? What do you are saying to yourself? Are you saying similar things that you would tell your friends? Or are you telling something different? If you feel insecure, what are your thoughts? How you treat yourself in that moment or facing a tough life challenge? And many times if you look at it, if you just, turn the mirror the other way around, you realize that most of us, when we are having a hard time, we are tougher on ourselves. Oh, I have to go through it. This is, I can do this, or just simply giving up. I always knew that I'm not able to do that. There are different ways how we do, things like that. Or if we are feeling insecure or having, tough life situation and challenge, we might feel like I'm not smart enough for this. I won't be able to succeed in this, or just pushing through it without just even paying attention how we feel. So this is something really important, just that I want you to think about a little bit. Just how would you treat a friend if they had a hard time, and what would you do if you were in a similar situation as your friend would be? Would it be the same, or would there be a difference? So self-compassion is a practice in which we learn to be good friends to ourselves when we need it most. Become an inner ally rather than an inner enemy. So this is really, really something that I think it's really good to pay attention to, realizing that we want to become our inner ally, that we learn daily how to become more friendly to ourselves. And I will a little bit talk about it, what that, entitles. Because most of the time it entitles just kind of the way we are looking at the way we are thinking about ourselves and really investigating a little bit the thoughts that we have. Here's a beautiful quote from Pema Chodron. She says, compassion for others begins with kindness to ourselves. So that's a beautiful quote that really teaches us how really important, if we want to have compassion for anybody else, it starts first the way we are kind to ourselves, okay? So here are just, different ways we choose to talk to ourselves. And I want you to see if you cut yourself or maybe your loved ones or people around you thinking something like this, maybe even today. There are, few examples. I'm not smart enough. I'm not attractive enough. I'm stupid. I don't like myself. I never will be able to do something. I'm not worthy. I should have already known this. So those are some of the thoughts. Just pause for a second and think. If any of these thoughts, I just picked 7, if you cut yourself today or maybe this week, or if it's something that comes up, with maybe certain challenges that you might have, just think about it. And then what is really important now is to realize that we can really create kinder relationship with ourselves and, with others, okay? And I would like to just, from a very basic point of view, I would like you to see these 5 simple steps, how you can start a little bit differently to look at yourself. So if, for instance, I just, one of my thoughts might be, if I go back, I am not worthy. I'm not worthy of other people's attention, or I'm not worthy of this or that. I just pick one of those thoughts, okay? So the way just, to go, around this thought would be to realize, number 1 step, and that is realize that I am human. You are a human. Anybody else is a human, right? We can just kind of, bring to neutralize, a little bit the thought that we have. So from going, I am unworthy, or I'm not worthy, to I am just perfectly okay. I'm good. Okay. From I'm not worthy to I'm good might be a really long, long process from someone. So we need to create a bridge. And the bridge can be I'm a human. And then realizing that humans are worthy of compassion, right? Humans are worthy of compassion. And then the next step is perhaps I am worthy of compassion. And then the next step is I'm worthy of compassion for myself. And then another step can be I am a friend. And maybe another one can be I am a friend to myself. So you can see that you could look at it a little bit. So what is happening with these thoughts is these thoughts are at a little bit neutralizing, that very strong, thought that I had that I'm not worthy, or I'm stupid, I am unfriendly, I am not good enough. Okay. You need to just kind of, first go in that place, and really sit with that. I'm a human. How does that feel? Realizing I'm a human. And then going from that place step by step, and you can sit with each thought. It can be, I can practice that one thought for a whole week. You can practice that one thought for a day. It can be part of my meditation. It can be part of my morning practice as soon as I wake up. Usually we wake up with all the thoughts that are coming in. And when we catch just kind of some negative thought, this can be one of the ways how we can start a little bit looking at ourselves from a little bit more kinder way. Because remember, what, was said, a little bit earlier on, compassion for others becomes with kindness, to ourselves. Okay. Beautiful. And then I also would like to generally introduce you just kind of the 3 practical ways to incorporate self-compassion into your daily routine. So before there was kind of, 5 steps how to neutralize, some really negative thought and become more friendly toward ourselves. And this is more how we can practice self-compassion. So number 1 is practicing self-kindness, being kind and understanding toward ourselves in times when we feel not adequate, replacing harsh language with kind words, and remind ourselves it is okay for things not to go according to plan. Self-compassionate people recognize that being imperfect and experiencing life difficulties is inevitable. So give yourself some grace and a hug. You are doing your best. So being kind, practicing that self-kindness. It's okay when things don't go according to the plan, right? It is okay when things are, imperfect. Doesn't mean that I'm not giving up, I'm not trying hard enough, but I'm just kind of having the mindset. It is okay. I've done at this moment, at this situation, the best I could. The next one is act like a compassionate friend, right? So when negative thoughts start to cloud your mind, channel your compassionate friend within you. We always tend to give the best of ourselves to our loved ones when they are going through something. Now channel that compassion toward yourself. What would you say to them if they were having an off day, right? So think about it. Just, how can I develop a talk toward myself that is compassionate and that is friendly? So first one was self-kindness. Second one is act like a compassionate friend. And the third one is mindfulness. That's another way how to cultivate compassion daily. Mindfulness means being with things as they are in the present moment. Now, what does that mean? It means that you can try, a few minutes of, purposeful movement, taking a few deep breaths, going for a walk, getting a massage, eating your favorite meal, or even writing a letter to yourself. Taking a moment to pause and tune into the moment helps us to determine our most effective response to how we are feeling. So being with the things they are in the present moment is looking at them and not just kind of, having necessarily any just, negative, and unuseful thoughts about them, but rather just taking a pause and realizing, how can I get in touch with myself so I can ground myself, or I can treat myself in a way that I can look at the whole situation from a perspective that I will be able to use useful thoughts that can produce feelings that are going to enable me to act from a place more of kindness and unconditional love, rather than from being passive aggressive or being angry or being just, disappointed. So those are 3 practical ways. So mindfulness, and then we had going backwards, act like a compassionate friend, and then self-kindness. Okay. Now, one more thing that I want to just kind of, add here is that what do we do when we have a day, when we have a very, very difficult feeling? Okay. You just kind of might wake up okay. As you go through the day, there might be events and circumstances that can just truly shake you, okay? And so here is, something that is really good, especially when you are in a situation when you have some very difficult emotion going on. So there are 6 kind of, different steps here. So, of course, first, when something happens that is not just something that we would mark as something positive, we just kind of try to resist the fact. Like, why is this happening, to me, right? Why me? Why I would have this kind of challenge? Why did I fall down? Why did I just kind of, didn't say something that was much better? Why didn't I speak up? Whatever that would be, right? So we are resisting, right? So what is number one thing is just kind of that we want to first, accept just kind of, those, that situation, that it's there, not resist it, but having some awareness, like asking yourself, well, what am I, feeling right now at this moment? And so what is really then important is number 3 is to label, the feeling. So what is it? Is it anger? Is it sadness? Is it disappointment? Is it anxiety? What is that? So we label, the feeling. So first one is we realize, well, what is happening? I'm trying to resist, and having more awareness. What is that feeling? And label it. Number 4 is allowing the feeling. So it is okay. I can make space for this. So if I, for instance, feel angry, I just kind of realize, okay, I am feeling, angry. Where is it in my body? Can I stay with that? Can I breathe into it? Can I sit with it rather than just push it away or pretend that it doesn't exist, right? So allowing it, meaning it is okay. You know, I'm a human and I will have a feeling like that when certain things happen, you know, in our lives. So number 1 is befriending. What can I learn from this? What is this trying to teach me? Because honestly, every single day we are in a school of life. You and I, we have a very special curriculum that we came on this earth. We just kind of, you know, have different, you know, challenges and tests that just we each of us need to pass, and we each of us have a little bit different spiritual curriculum that we come with, right? But it's just kind of always asking question, well, what is it? What can I learn from it? And some people just really don't ask the question, and therefore they become very, very fearful. If they fall down, for instance, once, then they just kind of are afraid that they will fall again, you know, or if, you know, I just was speaking with a friend of mine, and she had a knee surgery many, many years ago, and she's fine. She just, you know, is totally, her knee is functional. And she just said it was really interesting because she went with her kids skiing last week. And she just said, I realized how much I had gathered, you know, in my mind, thoughts like, I cannot do this. I cannot go skiing because if I go, you know, I will injure my knee and stuff like that. So she was really sitting with that. Not that she became aggressively skiing down the hill, but she at least got on her skis and did something. But she's realized how, you know, she was, you know, taking that whole experience and not really just processing something like, you know, it was stopping her from being able to enjoy the time with her children to some degree, right? And breathe, just like I said, you know, inhale, healing energy, exhale, just kind of, you know, tension. So those are, you know, things that are really important, especially when we have the difficult emotion. Yeah, resisting them, right? That's the first stage. Then we gain awareness. We label the feeling, we allow it, we befriend it, ask what we can learn from it, and we breathe into it. So those are really, really just kind of, you know, beautiful ways to, you know, look into that. So the vitamin of compassion and self-compassion is something that I think enriches greatly every single aspect of our lives. And I love what Louise Hay says. She says, remember, you have been criticizing yourself for years and it hasn't worked. Try approving of yourself and see what happens. So I would like to challenge each of us, you know, this week to find the ways whenever any negative thought about ourselves, when we are engaging I am or I am not, you know, with something that is negative, if we can just, you know, sit, you know, with that thought and just investigate it and realize, okay, this is my thought. Can I look at a thought more from the neutral point of view? Can I realize that I'm a human? And as a human, I might have thoughts and thinking that is not useful to me. And how can I, you know, not only process it, but move on? And those are things that we will be discussed also in our future vitamins, going a little bit deeper. So you can really just kind of, you know, do the work that it's going to help you to see what you can create, you know, in your life.